Oh shit, wrong button. Hello everyone and welcome to Bluespan's Dota 2 stream. Hello Lulu, hello Mel, hello Zavraj. Welcome back guys. Welcome back everyone, welcome back. Is this stream lagging for anyone else? Oh, Gabriel. Oh man, I gotta pick a hero. Yeah, let me try to fix the leg, Circus. Yeah, let me try to fix this leg, sorry. Stream is gonna stop for a few seconds and then continue right back. Hold on a sec. Test. A sniper on my team? No, it's on their team. Okay. I think it's looking pretty good now. Let me know if you guys still have problems. Oh boy, what am I buying this game? What am I doing? Sorry, what's going on? Hello, Nuyasha. You're mid? Okay. Oh, the battle pass is over, right? Okay. You cannot hear in-game sounds? Oh my god. One sec. God damn it, dude. Good Benny. I should probably just TP. Test. Can you guys hear the in-game sounds yet? Hi, Johnny. Can you guys hear my PC sounds? Fuck. Okay, you just got to deal with it for now then. I gotta play this game. Yeah, we'll fix it real soon, okay? Maybe next time I try to feed. I mean, not try to feed, but next time I feed. Just wait. I'm gonna fucking die in fights, dude. He said something, I don't even know. I should pull at some point, I think. So people they just run at you with a ghost walk? And that works? I gotta pull. He asked me to pull. Hi, Faisal. What the? Oh my chain pull, dude. Okay. I have another stun. I have one more stun. Oh my god, he's alive, dude! Wow. Runes? I heard Invoker just now. I'm here. Gonna pull again. Yeah, I need to die before I can try to fix this sound. I'm not really sure why it's like that. So maybe we can check real quick. Properties, speakers. Check. Hey, I fixed it. Hey, we got sound now, boys and girls.
Devil to pay.
Yep. You got me. I need to check out other lanes. Oh god. Get out of the way! I don't want to fight, dude. Night Stalker at nighttime? This guy's mana. I hope this is gonna be one of those games where I do absolutely nothing and still win. That'd be great. I think I'm just gonna go back to base. I always do something. Sometimes I feed. Thanks, Lulu. My frames per second only 120. Is this a good idea, Pango? Oh my god, dude! Oh my god! Wow.
Why not? Oh, hell yes.
I see him here. This is fake?
I'm under attack.
That's real. I got. It's real. It's real. I know this. Support Invoker is so interesting, Goose. I think I'd like to go top. Check, see if there's any wards here.
Dominating to hell and back.
Oh, maybe I'll help Sniper. Help Sniper die! I wonder if we can kill him quickly enough. This guy doesn't have sanities though. Am I gonna try support Invoker in the stream? Probably not. Nah. Maybe another day. Hi, Vinny. Oh, someone said something, but I didn't pick it up. Do you guys know what they said? Shit. Oh, you dead, dude. Runes?
Oh, hell yes.
Am I in the wrong area or some shit?
sure.
Let's stack this real quick.
I'll put the squeeze.
Where's my Dota Plus stacking timer?
I was meant to have this.
I need to buy TP, man. Coming bottom.
The enemy's attacking your middle tower. Mega kill!
Never mind, I cancel my TP bottom. I thought I was gonna do anything anyways.
To hell and
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Can we gank this snipe, like...
Okay.
Your mid tower is blocked. Did it mean
Go smoke your line.
Oh, there better be something important going on.
Are we okay to do it without finger?
So I have my...
Okay.
He's alone, like he's very alone right now.
I grow like the devil. Why not?
Off lane, Ursa. It's hard, man. Should I TP for to help this guy? I think let's secure mid. What is Undying doing?
Dire structures are fortified.
Yeah, you guys got. Oh, sniper's mid.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I'm gonna stay hidden. Oh.
Get out, get out, get out, get out. Oh, silence, holy shit. My bad. It's fine, space for OD. Our OD is Midas, he's... that first.
Space for Undying the farm. Who's the sniper's strongest?
My rage returns me to the living. I grow like the devil.
It's warded here for sure.
Where's the fight?
No, nighttime guys, you can fight.
We're here, we're here.
Take this warning to heart.
Aw, no finger damage.
To hell.
Ward is here, is it?
She had 3 wards walking here, so assuming they warded.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, I mean, kind of need to know exactly where it is. Where's my Dota buff stack timer thing?
Forward.
It's from the battle pass, is it? Motherfuck!
So,
Coming bottom with sentries.
To hell and back.
Did Invoker see me?
Visibility.
Oh, Invoker sees me.
this fight.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower.
Ah! Fucking shit! Get him!
Tower is under attack.
Nice.
Double kill.
I need to have stuff on quick buy, man. Three for one. OD caught him. One more hit.
Double kill.
Take matters into my own.
Secure mid. Secure mid.
How are you?
Why not? Oh hell. Prowling.
Enemy's middle tower just bit the dust.
Take with the jungle. We gotta get these towers as well here.
Real shit, no lie, look, I've been up 4 days straight without sleep. I seen a level nigga really wanna leave. Pick up the pen and the pad, I bust my ass to attain that shit. And I'm go for the back, I'm in like a fucking insomniac. I'm a country and running around.
Nice, putting up a barricade.
Yeah, we have most of the all the sound effects from before we need.
Ooh, your bottom tower is kind of bad. What, not your job or something?
Exit, exit. Something happened to my camera just now. Fucking shit's still alive. Oh, there we go. Dude, we're running over these guys. John Cena working?
You better pop on over to your bottom tower. Rally the troops and get over there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh hell yes.
There we go. They'll never find these hordes. John Cena not working?
Let's go, Roshan. Let's go, Roshan.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
So I need to buy 4 staff this game. Yeah. 100. Some of the sound effects are working, it's just not John Cena. Carissa, dude. Oh, there we go.
Him and that ages. I never messed up that bad.
Yeah, my biggest problem in this game is actually going to be Nightstar. He's just going to run at me.
Why not?
Hey Joe, I can play carry for you. You want to make donation, bud?
No, boss guys.
Hell and back.
Right.
I
2317 ages. Thanks, Lulu.
Oh hell yes.
Yeah, you wanna make donation for Jugger Zeus gameplay, dude?
The enemy's bottom tower has fallen.
Yes.
We don't have Pango.
Oh, they're defending.
Yes. Hell's fury. Burn.
Dominate! Own it!
Okay, grabbing runes. I'm pretty sure I'm getting carried this game because I'm not really doing much. In fact, I'm kind of out of it, you know.
The enemy's bottom
I can feel myself not being very sharp.
Top tier one.
I'm just kind of reacting to things that happen. Hey, I can cut this guy off with I'm smoking behind Night Stalker. Yeah, I'm here.
Why not?
killing spree! Own it!
Huh.
Wall me I go like the high ground.
High ground.
Ground, to be honest. Yeah.
Forward.
Yeah, we decided first.
Wow! Maybe fortified their structures. Pretty good move if you ask me.
Hey Joe, you want to make donation to your favorite?
Unstoppable! Dyer's doing that glowing thing. There, nothing doing till that tower needs some help. Your top tower is under attack.
I'm not sure he can to my BK.
One of the things in the back.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Hello, top tower. Goodbye, top tower.
All right, Joe. Remember, you said next time.
To hell and back.
Okay, let's get back. Yeah, Basher. Ursa has Basher. He can't TP away.
Onward.
He's still there. Nice.
More power, verily. Mine.
I want this force staff. How do I? Alright, there you go.
Double kill.
You can take top person.
Oh, hell yes. Where's the fight?
Hello, Takuya.
Fired.
We're pretty split and they know that, Kier.
The enemy's top tower.
We can next Aegis. We're showing the we get the full thing. Now I have BKB as well.
Pretty mad at you.
Hey.
Can't farm. They're not farming at all.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my tranquils. I think you just... Yeah, I think it's a bug. Yeah, what's going on with my tranquils? I remember there's a way to fix this. Does anyone remember how to fix it? What the fuck? Can't fix it, Gabriel. I don't know what's going on. Oh,
I'm gonna farm my BKB and then go high ground with that.
this is ready, but it's not ready. How do I fix my tranquils, guys?
Oh, hell yes.
It's not working.
Why not?
Hi, Krager.
Just gotta buy a new one, dude. Fuck this.
Sweet, yes.
Oh shit. I want bottle charge? No, he doesn't.
I have BKB coming, and also have my high gun.
Take some hit from creeps and try. Okay. I mean, why not, Rathor? Why not, right? Let's try it. I think it did something. Maybe that worked. Maybe you're right, Rathor. Sometimes that happens with tree levels? What does tree levels mean? Wait, courier. I fixed it. I had that get hit by a creep. Damn, it works.
BKB on the way.
Why not?
What do you come? Go ahead, go.
Double damage.
Yeah, I think Aegis is a good idea.
Right. This guy though.
Oh, hell yes.
Got him! Dude, I got so many. That was my right click, dude. Okay.
And his name is John.
Thank you. Hey, John Cena worked. Oh fuck. Keep using wrong hotkeys.
To hell and back. Why not? Yes.
Hi, Janica.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, yes. To hell and
Yeah, they don't really have vision. Oh man, even I got hit.
Fighting.
We're fighting this?
Yeah.
Wicked sick! Dire structures are fortified.
Oh shit, dude.
thanks. Why not?
Thank you. Hey Nicholas, yeah, I'm back home. Why don't I use my ult? Because I only want to use it when I need it. Hi Connie. Welcome back, guys.
To hell and back.
ether lens.
Why not?
Thanks, Connie. I think I'm about to win this game, and it's a ranked game, so pretty happy about that.
I was meant to have this. Prowling. Who needs a bottle of that? Forward.
Killing spree! Carnage!
Battle rages.
Am I just playing support? I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Do you have any preferences, Connie?
Got a power grip. Oh yes. Yes.
Monster kill!
Attack. Verily.
Sniper's AFK. He just sniped us. That doesn't look AFK at all.
Enemy's middle tower is no more!
I make these guys work.
The enemy's middle barracks are just a sweet memory.
Why not?
The enemy's middle barracks has fallen.
Support or hard carry, but your favorite is Mirana? Okay.
Get your butts out
Oh,
here.
glad you like the arrows. Yeah, I practice those arrows a lot, you know?
The fortification.
Actually wants to
Enemy's
kill.
middle tower just turned into a pile of rocks.
This guy's trying to bait.
The enemy's middle tower has fallen.
Found him. And I'm gonna finger this bitch. Oh shit. Finger that bitch. Oh shit, I might die here, dude. No, please. No, 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 no. Save the lion. Save the lion. Fuck. See, I might play that for Connie since she's a moderator, you know? Oh! Oh, rampage! Oh, we got it! Fantastic! Fantastic! Where's my sound effects? Oh, there it is. Thanks, Wen. Our dens are safe again? What does that even mean? Wow, that was a really easy game. I got carried. Actually, yeah. Just feel like I didn't do very much. I just kind of reacted to stuff. Okay, maybe we can try to queue for position 4. Yeah, when I saw they had the sniper pick, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, reacting stuff is important in Dota for sure, but you also have to have like a strategy in mind. You know, you can't be passive. I played very passive, and that's when you react to things, right? Reacting is only half the game, whereas also you have to constantly be having like a game plan, you know? I have no intention to play Invoker today, and also in not ranked games. I can show you my Marchanica. There you go. Oh, we got a game. Probably gonna be 4. Any WoW Classic today? Yo, Andrew Johnson. I'm back in Canada, friend. Yeah, actually, I was playing it earlier. I was testing my computer.
Turn to ban.
Hold on a sec. I gotta think about what I'm gonna play.
5 seconds left.
In ban Broodmother. I think. Oh, I'm the safe lane carry? Shit, yes! Nice! This guy's pretty bitter. No, Andrew, I'm not very, I'm only like level, like 10 or something like that, or level 12. I don't play that much. No, Lulu, my computer was acting weird earlier. The monitor was just glitching in parts of the screen. Now I was quite concerned that either my video card or my monitor was screwed up. But I think the Windows update somehow fixed it. Or actually, I plugged it in again and that fixed it. We have no idea if this guy's supporter carry. So how goes the drug testing, Andrew? Windows update fixing something? I don't know if it was Windows. I just kind of plugged it in and plugged it back in.
Your pick now. Meepo. What? Huh?
Everything I used to dream being real right now.
10 seconds.
I saw you on Road to Reformation's stream, Andrew. I didn't know you're a fan of Leo. I was watching him quite a bit, like last few months. No, was it Road to Reformation? No, you were watching Henry's stream. Never mind, it was in Road to Reformation, I think.
10 seconds.
Oh, should I get last pick? Oh, the pressure's on. Yeah, raw Dota. I saw you on his stream, Andrew. Did he hit Immortal or 6K yet? With his actual face on the screen and not account buying, I mean? Legit question. Oh, he did hit 6K or Immortal? Okay. Well, good for him. I wasn't sure if he was legit, to be quite honest with you, because I read a lot of stuff on Reddit. A lot of accusations. I can't tell who's core, dude.
Okay, your pick now. You know what to do.
Hello, Nyang.
10 seconds. 5 seconds left.
Alright, let's play some spin. So who's the mid player? Hello, Ivan. Welcome back, buddy. Why did Raw Dota have to start a new account? His account got banned for something. Both his Twitch and his main account on Dota 2. That's pretty serious stuff, you know?
I am ready. That's right.
Thanks, Lulu.
Prepare for battle.
Shut back.
I just watched your video about Canada accepting Vietnamese refugees. Oh, the one on
Who
Facebook?
said anything about sandbags?
It was for boosting behavioral score, but most likely for MMR. Ew.
Die now.
Yeah, Canada is awesome, Young. I'm very happy that the Canadian government took me in. How's the real estate agent life, Young?
I'll do it.
Oh, and by the way, Andrew Johnson, I actually had plans to go to Toronto last month. Actually, I keep having plans to go to Toronto, but it just never falls through. But hopefully within the next few months I'll be in Toronto again. And I'm gonna call you up, buddy. I'm gonna go check this rune.
I'm under attack.
Nah, I don't want to do this.
When the horn blows, the blood
The time has come. To battle.
Canadian government should take you to in. Yeah, oh yeah? What makes you think the Canadian government should take you in? You're moving to, you might be moving to Boston?
Aye.
Permanently?
Yes.
Or for a short period of time?
My code compels me.
Yeah, Raj, I'll let you know, buddy, for sure. I got a list of people.
Why not? I can do no less.
Oh, I got the last hit. Man, what's the Lion and I's plan here? Legit question.
Aye.
You know what? I shouldn't have queued for safe lane carry.
Run if you can.
I don't think my last hitting skills are very good right now. Hey, Peryak, thanks, buddy. Long time indeed. Glad you're back.
Ahead.
Few years at least.
A good choice.
Okay. Boston. Where in America is Boston? Like central, north-ish, you know? I don't really know. I don't really have good American geography.
Hey Blue, it's been a long time grinning face with sweat.
Yo, man, I'm just dying. Oh, fuck, my last hit so... Dude, I should not be playing carry. North Maryland? Okay, so it's actually still East Coast? Okay.
My strength increased.
Yo, we got first blood before they did. Nice.
It's only proper. Oh,
Yeah, cause if I go to Toronto, actually I was gonna go to Maryland anyway, visit Johnny. So we'll see. Fuck, my last hit's so bad.
right.
Oh fuck, we stack stuns. Right click, Scara.
Move up. Yeah, down. Okay. Good enough. Reward of discipline. I fight.
You wanna die? Do you wanna lose?
It's only proper. That's right.
Alright. Anyway, I'm dead.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower.
Finally, I'm up. Why not?
Let's just buy these items for now. Hi, Ashley.
Aye. Denied. My code compels me. Keep it here.
I gotta concentrate on these last hits.
It's on.
Is this real? The fuck, dude?
Never cross me.
Fuck, I should have fixed.
All good.
I fight.
My bad.
At last.
Oh man, I missed last hit again.
I'm following this game.
Attack. I can do rollers.
Actually, here's a question: does Sven still buy Midas? Yeah, I think he does. Chain?
Okay. On the way. Never yet. Of course.
Oh shit, dude.
A killing spree! Double kill!
Get Midas. Runes?
Once again.
Touch is annoying, dude.
A good choice. Yeah. Die now. The battle. Never cross me. Like a shot at Harry. I'll do it. Oh. Use it.
Oh, Lions left me, huh? I should probably just fuck off.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of too scared to be in this lane.
Very well.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Yeah, man, I'm not gonna go down that fucking path, okay, bud?
Yes.
Oh, dude, too much damage.
Yes, more. I claim the right. What?
Didn't they nerf like jungle bounty?
Right.
Touches the core.
Yes.
By the outcast blade. Bow down. The battle.
5%, okay.
Very well.
Hi, Enrico.
On the way.
I'm gonna make it.
Good enough. I draw by the breeze. Fall. You say.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I don't know if that was a good use of my ultimate, to be honest with you. Maybe not.
A good choice. Feel my blade. Aye,
Pressuring top. Never mind, punches back top.
that's right.
Oh shit.
Good idea. It's only proper.
Oh, punch is 6 and that's dangerous.
Run if you can. I'll do it. Yeah.
I fucking knew that he would do that.
Yes.
I mean, I do the same shit all the time.
Okay.
Care.
One back.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Get back, get back, get back, Lion.
Keep it here. My code compels you. Of course. Bow down.
3 top. Ruin soon.
Are you even watching your top tower?
Care bottom. They're gone from top.
Agreed. I'll take that.
Killing spree!
Like the outcast blade. A good choice. Yes. That's right. It's more. To battle. Good enough. Of course. Okay.
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower. Don't let him do that!
Dazzle TP top.
Aye.
Yo, you guys need to chill the fuck out a little bit.
Dire structures?
Yeah, you can turn them. You just need to avoid their ganks.
The enemy's top tower has fallen.
Under there.
Oh god.
Pop on over to your bottom tower.
Aye. So you say.
Your bottom
Try to burst on this Lina.
Oh man.
baby fortified the structures. Pretty good move if you ask me. Killing spree! Tower is under attack.
Fuck.
I don't know why you tried to TP there. You're not gonna get out.
Your bottom tower is fallen.
Hope for the best.
That's the spirit. The losing spirit.
I think if you try to stun the Lina there, I could have killed her.
Oops.
Ooh, your bottom tower is kind of bad. Dire structures are fortified.
Yes.
Our Clinks isn't having the best time, unfortunately. But he can catch up.
The top tower needs some help. This is one of the things in the bad cop.
Let's go smoke into their jungle.
Top tower is under attack.
Good idea.
Oh, dude, that mid tower's untouched. Huh.
Right.
I think Wraith King is salty. Let's go.
What, not your job or something? Hey, as long as that top tower don't fall. I'll wait, Tommy.
Good. Not yet. Very well. Die now. Why not? At last. Oh.
Come on, give me that creep.
I fight.
No, back right.
Never cross me. No.
TP.
Feel my blade.
Go.
gonna knock down your middle tower.
Okay.
I'll
Just
do
losing
it.
all of our towers.
Tower has fallen.
Wraith King top, Wraith King top.
A good choice.
We can't fight this.
It's only
Come
problem.
on, guys.
I can do no less. I
Dominate.
What the fuck, man? Runes are almost up.
Okay. One back. Yes. I'm under it. Run if you can. Very well.
I think if I farm this, I might die to Pudge.
I'll do it.
It's warded there, dude. I can't de-ward it just yet.
Good enough.
Am I gonna die to Pudge? I might have to leave top. I don't know. We'll see.
I fight. Never cross me. Die now.
Mega kill. Your middle tower is under attack. Oh,
I'm TPing to the shrine.
your mid tower could talk. It'd be pretty.
Clinks fight. Fight, Clinks fight.
Double kill.
That's right.
Care.
Mega kill.
Have another stun in like 5 seconds, Clinks.
My cold front.
Have stun.
Line
Oh,
up.
jeez.
Good idea.
I don't think we can catch him.
Radiant structures are fortified.
On the way.
Back off, back off.
They're all back.
Double kill.
Oh boy.
Die.
Okay, this is fucking worded.
Tower's under attack.
The shade shows.
Somewhere near the shrine. There's a ward.
You got one less middle tower now, by the way.
I'm keeping out with Wraith King though. Him and I are both 13. So Lena left mid. Oh shit, we have to travel. Pretty sure I go like blink BKB or something like that. Going bottom.
Good idea.
Your top tower is under attack. Dire structures are fortified.
I'll cast blade.
Your top tower is under attack. You and a couple of friends could probably stop that.
We can't go top, I don't think. Sure. I'm running bottom. There you go.
Top tower is under attack.
Of course. Done.
Oh my god, I got solo killed by a Skywrath, dude.
I do. In her tower needs some help.
We lost this game.
Tower has fallen. It's my favorite tower. Killing spree.
They're gonna push top. Maybe spent too much bottom. Yeah, I think we lost this Lulu.
Could fall.
Why is nobody TPing behind them?
Lights, I can do better.
And what is this smoke use from you?
Rune's almost up.
That claims the right.
I'm running down. Oh god, the finger on the Wraith King? Doesn't Wraith King have his ultimate? What the fuck is going on? Oh boy. I think we lost this one, boys.
Oh,
Nice try.
very well.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Better yet. Feel my blade.
Oh boy, I don't know what to do.
Your top barracks are under attack.
Do it properly. I'll do it.
Your bottom tower's kind of bad. You gonna do something about it? It just sits there looking funny. The top barracks is falling.
Yes.
Okay. Oh shit!
Killing spree.
It's fucking punch, dude.
Steel and strength.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. Is he gonna die to poison?
Your
Nah.
mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Smoke TP, try and go for Lina. Easy. I have bad ping. 74 is bad ping. Am I missing something here?
Why did that motherfucker leave the game after being so useless?
I think he just thought it was over.
Hand it over.
There you go, he comes back.
Attack.
Outdraft? Yeah, I'm not so sure about the Sven pick, to be quite honest with you. I got the last pick, so maybe this pick is not good.
Your middle tower has fallen. Why do I get the feeling you ain't taking this seriously?
Over. Yes.
Whoa! Godlike!
Oh god. GG. I don't even know if Wraith King has ult or not. Anyways, this game's over. Nice try. We're back. I'm going to the bathroom, guys.
Fresh meat.
Double kill! Middle barracks are looking shaky. You wanted your middle barracks to not fall. You're doing it wrong. Your middle barracks is falling.
Found another word.
Your middle tower is under attack. And over here we have your middle tower. Not being there. Your middle tower has fallen. Were you not paying attention to the rules? Defend your agent! Radiation is under attack! Domination! Radiant's courier is dead! Yeah, wonder what idiot got it. That is stretches of a double kill! Radiant's under attack. He ain't lying! That is absolutely how you lose the game.
Wah wah. Thanks, Lulu. Oh, game client is out of date. Is this new hero patch? Hold on, I'm updating Dota 2. All right, we're back in. Let's see what this patch is all about. The fuck is going on with my... Oh, Dota 2's not updating for you guys. That's weird. Yeah, I see a totally different Dota 2 screen than you guys see. You don't deserve to see the update. One sec. The stream is gonna disappear for a few seconds. Okay, there we go. That fixed it. Just needed to restart it. Okay, so I actually, if you guys noticed, I actually made the eye tracker bigger. What do you guys think about the bigger eye tracker? I noticed that I watched what's his name, Wagamama stream, and he's using eye tracker now, but he makes his eye tracker a lot bigger. You like it big? You prefer it this way? Yeah, you guys all like it big? Yeah, I haven't heard anyone complain about it yet. Hello, Jaku. Glad you like it, Danny. Had to see it in game. Wait, what are you talking about? See what in game? Hello, Sebastian. I heard Night Stalker is really hot right now, guys. Look at these global trends. Miranda has the highest win rate. 622G? When was that released? I'd like to see the hero stats for the last few days. View patch details. 9/6/2019. So it's been out for, actually it's been out for a week. Oh, you only just got here, Ashley? Weren't you here for the last game though? Why I switched to Twitch? Hey, Jaku, it's just too much competition. Okay, so now that 722G's been out for a week, we can check out these stats. Why can't one up like win percent? 55.9? Oh no, his win percent went down. Oh no. Okay, you gotta compare it from the start. Right. Actually, I only want to compare these 2 weeks. Miranda went from 56.5 to 55.9. That's still really good. It's okay, Ashley. I just wasn't sure. I'm surprised Night Stalker's win rate didn't go up more. It went from 54.6 to 55.0. Shocking. Well, the eye tracker was there in last game, wasn't it, guys? All right. Anyway, so if you guys want to spam some heroes, I don't know if you guys have Dota Plus, but you basically just click on your bracket, right? And then you just click on whatever hero has the highest win rate and just play that hero. Visage best hero? Fuck no. Only in scrub bracket. What? Eye tracker wasn't working for last game? Are you serious? What? Why do I think you're gold tier on Visage? Yes. Hi, BJ. Oh, fuck. I thought it was on. Okay, Zeus has pretty high win rate. Oh, Drow. Drow's like win rate is really good. Maybe we'll go back to playing Drow. Oh, I thought it was working last game. I turned it on. Hi, Hanif. Is Drow good again? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, maybe we'll start playing more Drow. Hold on, let me read her description. I think the 50%
anticipation.
gust blind. That's pretty big. Like, yeah, like you have to buy Monkey King Bar against Drow or like Manta or BKB. What's my favorite part of the trip, Raj? Spending time with my best friends. Yeah, that was about it. Hi, Alfonso. Welcome back, Wayne. What happens if you cross your eyes with the eye tracker on? Here, let me try.
Your turn to ban.
You tell me, guys. What happens?
5 seconds.
I am playing safe lane.
Okay, your pick now. You know what to do.
Kind of want to play some Drow. It goes crazy. What? Can someone describe what actually happened though?
10 seconds.
Oh, they have rank
5
500.
seconds left.
Swedish babe. Your position 5. Open up movies website and you saw me streaming. Hey, thanks, Wayne.
Seconds. 5 seconds left.
Someone pick.
Your pick. This is where you win or lose.
Maybe offlane can pick. I mean, Night Stalker. If you want to play Night Stalker, just play Night Stalker. Let's see the two more of their picks, and we can see which heroes are good. They got Pangolier. 400 wins? He's smurfed, dude. Hello, crew team.
Remember, the goal is to have
They're not really good at running at you, though. I mean, they kind of are.
Who am I kidding?
I mean, these two. Let's hope for a count buyer. Yeah, let's hope so, Raj.
Seconds.
I don't know what to play, guys.
5 seconds.
Let's play Spectre. Spectre, my best hero, guys.
Remember, the goal is to have fun. Yeah, who am I kidding?
Yes, or Kunkka. Kunkka's banned. So I'm gonna be leaning against Centaur and Silencer, I guess. Oh, I just buy these items. Change Spectre loadout? Why, you don't like my set? My set is dope. And I don't care about Immortals. Actually, maybe we put on the Immortal. Alright, let's try this. Her shoulders feel so much less badass though. Slark. Oh no. You don't really like it? Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel. I kind of like... I don't know, the shoulders just feel more masculine, you know? Not those ones, but these ones. Yeah. Oh, man. What about the head? Yeah, no, I like the current head. It's quite good. It's like a helmet. Who's hotter? CM, Wind Ranger, Lina, or Luna? Let me think about that. I like blondes. Blondes are hot.
Prepare for battle.
I don't like Scottish accent on women. So probably CM. Although Lina is on fire, you know? She'd be the hottest in that sense, right? Well, my frames per second is like 200 now. What the fuck? What happened? Something happened. I think I can go around and steal the rune.
30
Go around.
seconds to battle.
I think the tower can't see if I go from this direction.
First blood.
This one's dead already?
The first blood runs from my blade.
Oh boy.
This one's for all the marbles. If marbles were at all valuable.
One rune game? Oh shit. French women are the best? Who's French? Yeah, I was in Paris like last week. They're pretty hot. Thanks, Lulu.
Don't block the creep, don't.
What the fuck did he just say? You would have come down from Amsterdam? Well, actually, I was just at the airport anyway, so... Yeah, why did he get a hex? Oh, I had this guy muted.
Heads up, we're back.
Oh boy, this is gonna be annoying as shit. Guarantee it. Oh god, are we losing already?
That hero was such a fucking joke, man.
Oh, so good
Can you
at
please,
last hitting.
double up the wave for me. Adventure. Speak English.
Thanks for the donation, Raj. If I can get some donation. Oh, he pulled, dude. Motherfucker. This is so annoying, man. I don't have support down here, and I'm Spectre. This is really bad. Wow. Fuck off.
Okay, can you use your fucking...
Can you please turn off your backseat?
Oh man, it sucks to be a solo Spectre. Sucks real bad. That a rage buyback? Hope it's not rage, dude. Actually, I don't know if I want this item. He pulled again. Thought Silencer left the lane, but no, he just pulled. Good thing it was, couldn't chain pull it.
Dude, where are you going, man? Fucking 30 seconds!
Okay.
Every coin helps.
Should I go Midas this game? I think I don't go Midas.
Just because you're low on HP doesn't mean you fucking run back to base while everyone else is still fighting, man.
Yeah, let's push that shit into me.
Dire's putting up a barricade.
Did he pull again? That's all that Silencer does. He just keeps pulling, huh?
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower. Don't let him do that. Double kill.
Hey, I got a double kill! Yeah, maybe I'll just go Midas. Oh, thanks, man. Make the enemy sweat, you know? Midas, Silencer going bottom? I don't know why I said Midas. Sorry. Silencer's bottom.
Oh, okay.
You're lying, dude. Can't
Kill him,
stop
kill him, kill him.
running back all the time.
Can I get this last hit? Yeah, I can. Hold on courier, okay?
Double kill.
Man, shut the fuck up and just play Dota. Christ. Yeah, I know he's bad. What is complaining about it gonna do?
He's right.
Yeah, no, I know it's bad, but complaining is gonna help shit.
I mean, I'm hey, line. Honestly, I'm pretty good at top. Oh, I have Midas.
Too stupid to live, too beautiful to die.
To teach.
Moment. If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Yeah, this is a lost type.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Oh, there better be something important going on.
Fuck, there's nothing there. God, I waste so much time.
Killing spree.
I want to Midas this. Okay.
Jesus Christ, what did I just watch?
Can I get phase boots? I don't know. Yeah, we still get phase boots. Still good on this hero. What the fuck? Thanks, Ray Jess. See you later. Okay.
No.
The top tower needs some help. The top tower is under attack.
Wait, Kurt. You sense something new in the stream? Oh yeah, what do you sense? I've seen Dota 2 tournaments on stage. Yeah. I watched TI8 and I went to the KL Major last year. What the fuck are my items, dude? Do I even need to hunt for that?
Chosen course.
Jesus Christ.
Killing spree.
When that begins, there will be consequences.
Oh man, maybe I should have haunted.
Double kill.
I don't know.
Tower is under attack.
I was thinking about it. Thanks, man.
I'm fortified.
Am I gonna survive this? I think I survived. As long as I don't cast anything. Yo man, I didn't die.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad.
2 for 1.
Your bottom tower is under attack. Your bottom tower is under attack.
What about items? Okay.
in your top tower? You'll be fine. As long as that top tower don't fall.
I bought Soul Ring on Spectre the other day, and actually I really like it. There's wards in our jungle. Hi Vinny, welcome back. Okay, I can almost hold. I don't know about that.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I can Dark Ascension when you spawn.
Dire structures are fortified. Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has fallen. Unstoppable! Dominate!
Oh shit, I'm up on the hill. Okay. I don't know, man. I wanted to fight, but I didn't want to fight, but then I got stuck on top. What can I do?
Dire structures are fortified.
I'm a Spectre.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Rally the troops and get over there! If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you.
Oh god, dude. Oh my god. What's my next item? Ooh, oh, he almost got away. I think I just go for Radiance.
The bottom tower is under attack.
Fire Rapier, okay. Oh my god, slick. Slark's alive, dude. Coming button.
Past the void, man.
Monster kill! Double kill! Many before you have tried. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. You had a couple of friends who probably stop that.
What the fuck? Let me get the kill, dude. This guy's still on me!
The bottom tower is under attack.
Jesus Christ.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad. Dire structures are...
Yeah, I don't know if I go for Radiance. I don't know if my team can survive.
Need Ember here. This is like one of the few fights you can actually win. Ember's not coming. Crazy.
The bottom tower has fallen. Who said that tower could fall?
Fucking let him have the harp towers. Who cares?
Vanguard and Diffusal? I don't know. I need to think about it, guys. Need some time to think.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Vanguard, huh? I don't know. I need to think about it. Oh my god. Yeah, let's get Vanguard.
The hoofbeats of your heart.
Go Divine Rapier. I'm good, Hamka, thanks.
You got one less
Yeah,
middle tower now,
Samantha.
by the way.
Yeah, Manta. Why would I buy Manta? I don't care about Global Silence that much. I mean, I could confuse the Bane. I don't know, we'll see. Like, there's no right or wrong answers, to be honest, in this game. Manta sounds pretty good, though. We'll see. We can go Vanguard Blade Mail as well.
Radiant called in the fortification, it seems.
Can you finish that, please? I want Radiance, but the problem is this game might be over before I get Radiance, so I'm not sure it's a good idea. I don't know where to farm.
Top tower is under attack.
We're just running away from them, dude. Yeah, anyways, I want this game to go late, but I'm not sure that that's even possible, you know what I mean, guys? Where do I farm? Bottom's taken by my friends. Maybe we can farm mid after they've... Runes are almost up. We can farm mid after these guys leave, I think. Yeah, they're gonna go for the runes now, so... Can you fuck off already?
Take it off, someone. By someone I mean lion. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
GG. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh, those are illusions. Alright, well, I don't know what to do, guys. What can I do? Better avoid gank like that? This is not a gank. This is not a gank. I was right here. We were all here. This is not a gank. You can't rat against Slark, Bane, Pango. These guys just come out of nowhere. Also, how can you rat when you're losing your tier 3, right? Maybe I should have bought a magic wand if I knew I was going to be fighting so much. That guy's dead.
Dire structures are fortified.
Yeah, I can't do shit about this, man. Yeah, and we can't win. Hi, Johan.
And over here we have your middle tower. Not being there no more.
Maybe this is an outdraft.
Your bottom tower's kind of bad.
Is this a comeback fight?
Lion! Purge the fucking nightmare! Jesus fucking.
Ah, got him. Then why fold your skill 2? I don't understand your question. Why did I get my skill 2? So that I can do lots of damage? Seems obvious when I say it like that, right? Does that surprise anyone? Well, let's get Vanguard. Wait, where's the scan? I can't even see the scan. If this goes late, then we win, yeah. If it goes late, that's the biggest problem.
Shrine is under attack. Your top shrine is under attack.
Slark said Moonshard. That's how much he doesn't respect us.
Your top shrine is under attack. Your top
Okay,
shrine
all yours.
has fallen.
Unless you just fucking die right now.
Dominate.
What the fuck?
Barracks are under attack.
This sustains gold remains.
The middle barracks are looking shaky. The middle barracks are under attack. You're never gonna mark a nothing.
This line is actually fucking ridiculous. All you have to do is fucking A-click. That's all you have to do.
Killing spree.
Oh yeah, get me out of this game.
Embarrassing, honestly.
I haven't spawned yet. Mega kill!
Yeah, we fucking lost, dude. This game wasn't even close.
Under attack. What do you mean your bottom tower's gone? Your bottom barracks are under attack.
Hello, Abhishek. Matt Trang, thanks for subscribing.
Your bottom barracks is fallen.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with this line.
Your bottom barracks are under attack.
Yeah, apparently.
I don't know what to do for you, dude. I'm dead.
Killing spree! Triple kill! The middle tower is under attack!
Wow, he couldn't kill the silencer. There you go.
The middle tower's under attack!
Oh, we still have melee rack here.
Get in and defend that sucker!
I don't know.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower!
Oh my god. There you go.
More for your money.
That's Centaur's Moonhammer, dude.
If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. What, not your job or something? to knock down your middle tower. Dire structures are fortified. Your mid tower can talk. Be mad at you.
Okay. God, man, we can't win this. No, we fucking lost, dude. What the fuck? My creeps. I kind of won my lane, to be honest with you. Pretty sure I did.
Yeah, I think that's serious.
Am I about to die, guys? Okay, we're gonna kill one more creep wave and then we're gonna do something sneaky. Oh, Slark. No, we lost, dude. We fucking... There's no coming back from this, guys. There's no coming back. How do you come back from this?
Qué estrés, mano.
Middle tower's under attack. We got one less middle tower now, by the way.
Can't even cast shit, dude.
Your ancient is under attack. He ain't lying. Gotta defend your ancient. No.
Yeah, they can end now, so we can play next match. But you know, Spectre games, you never know, right? You never know.
Were you not paying attention to the rules? Defend your agent!
What the fuck was that stun? What? What? Yeah, you go silencer. Report line, thanks. Personally, I don't really have any strong opinions about Alliance gameplay. Everyone has bad games. Thanks, Takuya. Although, him leaving me alone in lane, I don't know if that was the best choice. I mean, I don't know, like, thanks to the silencer, I actually got tons of farm, but he didn't know that that was going to happen. Oh, we got another game. It'll be either position 1 or position 4. Okay, I am safe lane carry again. Oh, and this is the Wind Ranger from last game. He was in the last game.
Ooh, you get to ban someone.
Span Slark.
5 seconds left.
Alchemist, Night Stalker, Leshrac Band. Right, last game they had a Smurf. It was the Pangolier, right? His name was Oh Well. Well, thankfully he's not on the enemy team this game. Oh, Yellow might be Smurf. He only has 922 games.
Your pick. This is where you
Feels
win
good.
or lose.
Yeah, Lion helped enemy bottom. Did Gyro get nerfed? I feel like
10 seconds.
feel like they would nerf him after he was picked so often at TI. Where's 7th? Come on. Gyro, 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 gyro. Right. His axe got nerfed by like 8%.
Your pick now. Meepo. What? Huh?
How's Canada, Vinny? It's a lot colder than Vietnam and Eastern Europe and Florida. I don't know how much to say about it. It's nice to be back. It's you know, high standard of living country. Vietnam was so fucking poor, right, Johnny? Johnny, it's over. You're here. Yeah, Canada over 9,000 US dollars per person per year. Way more than that actually. But Vietnam, it was like 2,000 GDP per capita. Mirana Sanking Winter Wyvern. Yeah, super poor, man. It was you know, Johnny, when I was born, I think the average Vietnamese person made like 300 US dollars per year in 1988. Can you imagine making 300 US dollars per year?
Okay, your pick now.
$2 dinner for $2 dinner delivered to your door. Yeah, that's nice. I gotta think about what I'm gonna play here. Let's see, I want to play TA. Yeah, I can go Wraith King.
10 seconds.
Okay.
5 seconds left.
You guys like my Wraith King set? I don't know, Johnny. Even the $2 dinners is a lot of it is kind of like low quality. I mean, you can't really complain too much for $2, but if you're a Vietnamese person and you're paying $2 US and you only make $1 US per hour and you work 2 hours for that dinner, I'd complain. Although I guess they wouldn't know otherwise anyways, right? Like, they don't know what life is like outside Vietnam or like a richer country. It's too fucking hot to enjoy anything without AC. True.
Your pick now. Meepo. What?
Glad you like the armor, Sebastian. You need it? Ooh, Viper. So it will be Sand King Miranda in this lane. And I will have... what kind of support? Silencer? Okay. Silencer support, so... I'll just go like this. That sword is like the Devil May Cry one? Really? I've only played Devil May Cry 4, I think. Just a little bit. But I have lots of swords. And lots of really cool ones. But I like this one the most. But yeah, anyways, Vietnam, it was like... you step outside and it's like 39 degrees Celsius with humidity, you know? Like, you just want to kill yourself right away. I should carry ice bags. You know, actually what we needed, guys, we needed to carry a bottle, a water spray bottle.
Rage King. Look out for falling rocks.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I always felt that like whenever we go outside, we can spray each other to cool down, you know? That would have been great and fun. Do Indian people use that kind of strategy? You get so hot outside, you just carry on spray bottles. I also had like a portable electronic fan. It was really small. It's like this big. Young gave it to me. No, Young didn't give me a bottle. No, it was just a spray. I mean, sorry, it was just a fan. You thought it was a spray bottle, but it wasn't. I wish it was both. That'd be great.
I'm all for a little downtime. Feeling fresh?
Of his own accord.
So who do you guys thinks is gonna win this game? I don't know, man. This is a very skill-based game.
I'll return the favor.
Like Tiny and Wind Ranger need to land some sick skill shots, and so does Mirana.
You are in my presence.
I wasn't that large of a fan. Team Wraith King gonna win? Thanks, Benit and Lulu. I'm gonna try my best.
I'll consider it.
And I just got back. I don't think I should be playing ranked Immortal games, but whatever. Play it for you guys.
Hey, it ain't fun if we ain't all here.
Oh, I need the silencer. So anyways, I don't know if I go Midas Wraithing this game. I mean, sorry, Midas Radiance. Jesus, my brain is just... I need some coffee. Too much invisibility to do with? I mean, we just buy Sentries and Dust, or a gem. Ah. I think I've lost 2 out of 3 games today. Yeah, I did. I don't know if I go Midas and Rangers Akora. I think I go Midas. There we go, Midas. What will be my counter item for Slark? Well, I could go Blade Mail, right? When he pounced me, I could just use Blade Mail, but I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe we just go Radiance. Radiance Midas or something. Classical build. I think Mirana's sanking around here. We saw sanking earlier. Yeah, Mirana should follow the sanking around.
I always wanted to see an ancient.
Oh boy, there it is. Oh, there's fucking 4 down here, dude.
Don't make me come over there.
You can't block their crit.
It was ours all along.
Race! Your king is here.
See what I say, guys.
Worse. Oh wait, no, I couldn't.
Could be worse. Oh wait, no, I couldn't.
Tis your honor.
Will Blink help me in this game? I don't know.
Deny. Be about it.
What the fuck?
Zone that fucker out.
Charge here. Even raids have coffins. I walk among you. War is torn. So what if I swagger? Wise counsel.
Alright, you want to play that game, Mirana? Let's fucking play that game, okay, bud? I'm okay with this, honestly.
By my decree. Tis I. Tis I. So what if I swagger?
This is so fucking stupid.
We are in agreement.
That's what you do, though. Mirana's dying, I'm dying.
As you advise.
Yeah, it's all about the equilibrium. Oh my god, dude. You're dead.
Tis your honor.
Keep going, man!
Bury me with my blade. Mine to claim.
Fuck, this is so fucking messy.
I'm your once and future thing.
God.
Obey me. I am your liege. Denied.
Is it balanced out yet? No, it's not.
By my crown. Timid. Ray, your king is here.
Yeah, fuck off, bitch.
Prostrate yourself. By my decree.
Yeah, see, it's kind of balanced now.
Go to. Soon, perhaps I'll choose a queen. Who's in charge here?
Oh, that bitch is doing it again. Oh my god, this is so annoying.
There are wraiths among you.
Oh.
Who dares look upon the wraith? War is torn. Keep your thoughts to yourself. Your king moves of his own accord. Behold the wraith.
He has his passive, doesn't he? No, it doesn't look like he has his passive. Why does he click like that? What the fuck?
I'm always at my best. I walk among you. You are in my presence.
The fuck, man? Oh god.
Has ended.
This game's not looking good either.
Fresh from the grave. What are
Every coin helps.
by my decree?
Hello, Smet. Welcome back.
Take a knee, peasant. Submit to the wraith.
What the fuck, creeps?
Tis I. Fall upon them. We are in agreement. Death is my bitch. Your
What the-
king moves of his own accord. Questionable.
Miranda hasn't used arrow yet, I think.
Behold the wraith.
Skeleton farm? Farm for sanking?
Wraiths, your king is here. War is torn.
Where'd he go?
Wise counsel. As you advise. By any measure.
Give me vision.
Come, let's be about it. Keep your thoughts to yourself. You are in my presence. I'll consider it. Dave.
Killing spree!
Robert's top. Back.
Submit to the Wraith King's rule.
Fuck, you're on the two
Tis
top.
your honor.
I don't know if Silencer should be here. Oh fuck, good pull.
By my crown.
Yeah, Mirana's top.
There are wraiths among you. At my word. Come, let's be about it. So what if I swagger?
Sanking, you want this? You want this, bro? Come over here, get out of your sandstorm. Yeah?
Illusion. I am your liege. I walk among you. Prostrate yourself.
Slark having a bad time? Yeah, he's having a bad time, huh? It's good.
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower.
There's hope for us yet.
Your middle tower is under attack. This is one of the things in the back column. Dire's putting up a barricade.
Oh, Jesus.
Keep your thoughts to yourself.
If your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad. Hey, the enemy's top tower's gone. You done good. Your middle tower is under attack. Rally the troops and get over there.
Timid? Not ready. Not yet! I'm always at my best.
Huh, I'm good.
I walk among you.
We can mid and go from behind. Can we kill?
Yeah.
I lost Spectre game.
Behold the wraith.
What does that thing mean?
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Miran is there.
You better poof on over to your bottom
These ruins are up. I'm coming.
Do something about it and just sit there looking funny.
It's not
Dominate! Your bottom tower, it's kind of bad.
question. Just let it roll over you. We are in agreement.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
There are wraiths out.
I'm gonna toss him. Go in the tower. Go in the tower. Go in the tower.
Over to your
Your
bottom tower.
use of his
Oh,
own
there
accord.
better be something important going on.
Oh yeah! I mean, can we get this kill?
Has no grip on me. Tis
I don't know what to do. It's fucking all over the place, man. Oh, I can't get that sinking.
Too tight.
not yet.
We diving this shit? Can I farm?
By any measure.
Killing spree! Watching your top
Okay.
tower.
By my decree.
Does anyone want to try and top?
Top tower.
What the fuck? Dude, we're trying to push tower. What the fuck? I'm a little scared now.
Go back here.
Under attack.
What the fuck, that silencer?
I'm not ready.
Better go lane?
Your bottom
Not necessarily
tower is
true.
under attack.
Yeah.
As you advise.
Ooh, your bottom tower is kind of bad. Ooh, your bottom tower is kind of bad. What, not your job or something?
What the
Bottom
fuck?
tower is under attack.
Yo, man, I don't have shit.
A couple of friends comprised.
Kill him.
What the fuck, man?
Your bottom tower has fallen. Dominate!
Yo, can you hit tower? What's the...
King moves of his own accord.
You better poof on over to your bottom
Jesus.
tower. Middle tower has fallen.
Wraiths, your king is here.
What a demanding team.
There are wraiths among you.
What the?
I'm coming. Drive it.
We don't have dust.
I'm not ready.
It's not good.
Behold the wraith. Question.
Am I gonna die farming here?
Have dust.
Obey me. Fall upon them.
Maybe we just focus on slower.
I don't honestly. I don't want to fight until I have my ultimate.
You can kill Viper right now.
Your thoughts to yourself. 'Tis your honor. Prostrate yourself.
Fine, man. Fine.
Be about it.
Are you blink dagger yet?
Wise counsel. I'll consider it.
Do we win late game?
Take a
Viper's pretty strong late game nowadays.
We are in agreement. Who dares look upon the rain?
13-minute rinse.
There's a ward here.
By any method. I am your liege.
I see.
We are in agreement. All mine.
I got the rune, right? Yeah, I got the rune. It's too slow.
Your middle tower's under attack.
Your
Every
king
coin
moves of his own accord.
Okay.
I'm gonna do the combo.
Oh fuck! I don't have TP scroll, dude.
What if I swagger?
Right here, right here.
As you advise.
Oh fuck! Viper's here.
By my decree. Your king is here. Timid?
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Viper's coming from below you guys.
Killing spree.
Wise
Your
counsel.
bottom tower is under attack.
I'm here as well.
Behold the rain.
Killing spree. Double kill. You better push on over to your bottom tower. Get that sucker.
Be about it.
Your bottom tower is under attack. Dominate.
Fucking Viper. So annoying, man. Jesus. Oh my god.
Double kill.
How's Viper? Or how's Slark running? He's level 11. Okay, so he's a little bit ahead of me now. He was dying earlier, but everyone kept fighting, so the pressure got taken off of him. No, just back. Whew.
Who's in charge here?
Oh fuck, wrong creep. That's okay. Actually, the little one's fine.
Tis your honor. Submit to the rain.
Killing spree.
Prostrate yourself. I'm always at my best. 'Tis I.
He's dead, dude. I can't kill him. I can't help him.
Not yet. There are wraiths among you. I walk
They're
among
trying to knock down your middle tower.
all upon them.
Radiant structures are fortified.
It's not
Your
time
middle
yet.
tower's under attack.
I'll consider it.
They're trying to knock down your middle tower.
I'm under
Dire
attack.
structures are fortified.
Detection?
To yourself.
What the fuck is going on? Oh, this is too messy.
We lost.
Okay. We lost.
About it.
Okay. I need more health. Would you agree that I also need more damage or mobility? Oh, that's like everything then.
Your middle tower has fallen.
I see you. No, don't.
I'm not ready. We are in agreement.
Viper's hasted cure.
As you advise. I'll consider it.
Just go farm, we can't fight this.
Your life is spent. Prostrate yourself.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I'm not ready. So what?
Oh god.
Behold your king.
So Hector always Midas' a small creep? I don't believe that.
War is torn.
Am I getting smoked?
You are in my presence. Wise counsel.
Hey Mohammed, can you do me a favor? Stop backseat gaming? Thanks, man.
There are wraiths among you. Even wraiths have coffers. By any measure.
Has no robots. Catch stuff.
What I'm asking is, does he Midas the creep 100% of the time? I think in this game I have to hit level 20, right? And if I Midas the small creep, I can't hit level 20. You know what I mean? I don't have the luxury to Midas the small creep.
I walk among you.
Your mid tower could talk. Pretty mad.
Oh fuck! I was gonna TP mid.
Tis I.
Be in top.
Alright.
War is torn.
You can stun now. You can stun now.
Okay. Might just TP out. Never mind.
Killing spree. Hey, look at you knocking down that bottom tower.
Morning, joiner. Oh, he missed. He didn't miss that. Dude, man, we're not doing well. Go Shadowblade far better, I think. Shadowblade for what?
Ooh, your bottom tower's kinda bad.
I'm not gonna go Shadowblade.
Your middle tower is under attack.
You know, Wraith King's not like one of those surprise, like, I'm gonna kill you really quickly heroes. Like Faces Void or... oh shit. Am I dead?
Your bottom tower is under attack. Yes, magic. Your bottom tower is under attack.
Oh,
I mean, your bottom tower's gone. Dire's structures are fortified.
Sounds looking good, Runes.
yeah, no fucking kidding, eh? He had 24 seconds to grab that rune.
Your middle tower's under attack. Your mid tower could talk, it'd be pretty mad at you. Your middle tower's under attack.
Alright.
And over here we have your middle tower. Not being there no more.
I really don't have mana or HP.
Killing spree! Unstoppable!
Dude, too many buybacks.
By my decree. We are in agreement. Radiance.
Hey, Vladimir. Do I need to ban you? Let me know, okay, bud?
Your king moves of his own accord. Take a knee, peasant.
Your top tower
I don't like rude shits in my stream.
You are in my presence.
dominate!
Questionable.
Okay, so honestly, every time you have low farm in a game, I'm gonna point it out, alright?
At my word. As you advise.
Let's give it to them.
Your
I think we just stay high ground here.
I'll consider it. Okay. Be not timid.
Ocean is forward to the giant!
I walk among you. War is tall. You are in my presence. It's no longer. What are you afraid of?
Guys, it's not the item builds that are gonna win this the game, it's the strategy.
So what if I swagger?
Your top tower is under attack. Hello, top tower. Goodbye, top tower.
Your king moves of his own accord.
Radiant fortified their structures. Pretty good move if you ask me.
Toast from you.
Your thoughts to yourself.
We don't have the farm to win this game. Nah, I can't do shit. Oh.
Your top tower is under attack. Top barracks are under attack.
Yeah, I don't know if Red King was a good pick.
Your top barracks are under attack. Your top barracks has fallen. Your top barracks has fallen.
That's not what I'm talking about. No, like, honestly, blaming item builds or thinking about item builds, it's the lowest strategy. This game, like, it's not even about the item picks anymore. It's how you play the game with your team. You guys don't understand.
Your middle barracks has fallen.
Your king is here.
Unstoppable!
It's not time yet.
Whoa! Godlike!
By any
You
measure.
better poof on over to your bottom tower.
Here, I'll give you guys some examples, okay? You guys ready for some examples?
Your middle tower is under attack.
So here's some examples. So you guys can say like, oh, you should buy a blade mill, you should buy pipe, you should buy AC. You can, those are all like really low level critiques. Like those things are so unimportant at this level. It's not about that. It's more about like, okay, why did I pick Wraith King? Or why did I go against Sand King in the bottom lane? Why didn't I go against top lane against Slark? Or maybe I could have gone Wraith King mid. Or why didn't we smoke gank at the rune? You know? Or maybe I should have gone Blink Dagger first. Actually, that's not a good example. But the point is, like, item critiques are the lowest form of Dota 2 strategy. Hey Christian, thanks. Thanks, man.
Good laughing face. Double snap, please. And this is Blue, I am sure. Big love, Blue.
I'm dead again. Hello, Danicus.
Double kill.
It is only
Yeah, if you guys want to go to like Immortal level, stop blaming item builds. It's not the item build, it's how you play the game with your team. Yeah, they don't know how to critique anything else. It's like, no, it's not about these items. It's about how you play.
Hey, your bottom barracks need help. If your mid tower could walk, it'd be bottom barracks has fallen. Bad news about your bottom barracks. The enemy now come back from this and you are a legend. I'm no techno wizard or nothing, but I think that player just is under attack.
Hi, Snowpoop. Yeah, Clark, you were pretty wrong, buddy. What happened to your comeback? I can play any hero for donation. Yeah, anyway, so... One sec. So if you guys want to get to, like, Immortal level, you... Stop thinking about item builds. That's, like, such low-level critique. You think my build was too greedy? I'm not so sure it is. Like, then I gotta ask you, okay, so would you agree that we have team fight? We have team fighting capabilities? And that, so on my team, who's gonna be the farmer on my team? Okay, is it gonna be the mid Wind Ranger who's gonna farm? Is it gonna be the Tide Hunter who's gonna farm? Okay, so should everyone, all the cores on my team, go for a fighting build right away? So let me ask you a question. So if everyone on my team, including myself, goes for a fighting build, let's say I go Armlet, Blade Mill, Blink Dagger, and let's say that we fight them and then we fail, okay? And then we don't have anyone farming, and then our late game is screwed. You would agree, right? Because there's no one farming. We're all trying to fight, but we failed at fighting, so now we're screwed late game. Okay. So is it a really good idea that I go a fighting build and not a farming build? I mean, if I knew that we were just going to lose in the mid game, maybe I go fighting build. Their team fight is far better still? Is it? How's it better? Global, Silence, Ravage, Shackle Shot, Tiny with Blink Dagger? That's not a good enough team fight? Hey Snowpoo, I don't know why it appeared that way. Anyways, actually we were doing just fine until like around here. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that like this game is so complex, like Nicholas was saying. Like you guys don't really know what you're talking about. Like I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Ban their best hero.
I am safely in carry again, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just play some good old Jug.
5 seconds left.
I could have gone for a fighting build with Midas. Okay, so you're implying that... So what you're saying is that the Radiance is not a good build, right? Okay. Would you agree that if Slark is being burned by Radiance, he's going to miss 17% of his hits, right? If I run up to the Sand King with Radiance, he can't blink, right? Or if I go right next to the Winter Wyvern, he also cannot blink it. I also do tons of damage around me and farm more quickly with Radiance, right? So I mean, like, okay, I go Midas and then I go what? Armlet? Blink Dagger? Like, if I had an Armlet in any of those fights, would that really have made a difference? I mean, you go Armlet and then you die to DOTs from Viper or Slark or Sand King. Okay, so I buy Blade Mail. Okay, so I go Blade Mail against Viper, who has Greaves. He has like what, 3,000 HP. Viper doesn't care about Blade Mail. Okay, I go Blade Mail against Slark. Well, guess what? He just stops attacking me, right? So okay, then I can buy Blink Dagger instead of those two items, right? Okay, so I blink on Dagger on them, and then I do my really shitty Wraith King stun that keeps getting nerfed over and over. Is that really a good idea? You see how like the answers are not so simple, right? We have Broodmother. This guy might be a Smurf. Oh, fuck, they have Spirit Breaker now. Oh, I wanted to play Jug. Now I'm not so sure. This guy picked Broodmother really early, so he's probably a Smurf or something. I don't know.
Remember, the goal is to have fun.
Always get a Divine Reaper. My bad.
Yeah, who am I kidding?
I don't know about this pick.
10 seconds. Your pick now. Meepo. What?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know what to pick.
Ten seconds.
You think Lena is a good pick here? What the? I'm safely in carry, dude. What the
5
fuck?
seconds left.
I'm gonna play Jug anyways. All right, what set should I play, guys? 1, 2, 3, or 4? I'm also not playing. No, Drow's not a good pick either. If I play Drow, whose right click am I going to empower? Bane? Pink Sword 3? Pink Sword 2? 4? 3? 1? You guys are all over the place. Oh, they have Tinker. Would TOBII or RAZER or Luna have been good picks? I don't really know. Like I cannot give you clear answers. This is what I try to tell you guys. There's no clear answers in Dota 2. Even at TI, right? Like people shit on each other's builds all the time. Like these two tier 1 teams, like, you know, Liquid versus like OG, they'll fight each other, right? And then like after the game is over and one team already lost, they're like, yeah, I guess OG shouldn't have picked IO carry. Obviously that they shouldn't have done that. Well, obviously, what? Eight and 1 is Tinker?
Oh, it's the Juggernaut. On it.
Drow would have been good, but once again, who's right click am I empowering? Silence, Tinker? I don't think Tinker cares about silence. Okay. It's not all about that one skill. Okay. Well, all right then. I mean, then I have silence. So you really just like the silence, then, right, Ashley? Right? I mean, if that were the case, why not just pick another hero like Sven? You can do the same things. You can stun the Tinker and the Spirit Breaker, and you'd be tanky. How does your hero work? Shit! You like Thompson's build? He doesn't care about metas, he just adapts his item build. Yeah, most Immortal players play that way. But honestly, a lot of you guys, like, you guys always come up with like the most stereotypical builds ever, you know? Why not go Mask of Madness? Shadowblade. Or if I play Ursa, you guys always talk about Vlads. Like, people don't even buy Vlads on Ursa anymore. Yeah, there's a very small list of people with my face next to their name, guys. Thank you for those of you who have that. $2 years to go down with every donation. No, I'm okay with that.
As you wish.
Okay, so this game, I might need to buy Blink Dagger to kill Tinker. Maybe.
Your death approaches.
I mean, in this game, like, Tiny's pretty good at killing Tinker. Yeah. Tiny can throw a Broodmother or something at Tinker. Or me, so if we assume that our anti-Tinker is the Tiny, then I don't need to go Blink Dagger. Your credit card is sharp? What does that mean?
30 seconds to
Minus $1 day per $5 donation. I'm okay with that too. That's like what? 730 times 5? Yes. 3.5 grand? Dun, 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 dun.
The battle begins.
Put me in the vanguard. To battle.
Hopefully this team is PMA. I need a PMA game. He low-key sucks. He's just being loyal to me. Don't you like people who are loyal to their friends?
Agreed.
Damn, Matt. You don't play very much, but you have strong opinions about Dota 2? Oh god, I'm gonna miss that, didn't I?
Attack.
No, 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 no.
You are mine.
I need this guy to right click. What's he doing?
I fight. It's an honor. Run.
He wants me to spin into that creep wave and it'll upset the equilibrium.
Face me. In your I go. A fine idea.
Yeah, I can spin now, I think. Or can I?
Of course. So you say? Attack. Yeah. Death dealer.
Illusion top.
Cannot hide.
Oh yeah, okay. He has boots, so I have to buy boots too if I want him to, if I want to be able to chase him with spin. Otherwise he just slows me with his right click.
What coward runs? So you say?
First, they're trying to knock down your middle tower. First blood.
Be kind.
Kill, kill, kill.
Fight.
My suicide kills on ancients.
And Battle's fast, right? 377 move speed? What a fucking joke.
Run if you can. To battle. Tonight. As you wish.
I'm gonna stack neutrals and then come bottom.
I bring my blade.
Oh, my thingy. It's right here.
Regen bottom.
You are mine.
I don't need it. I don't need it either.
It's an honor. A fine. Death dealer. Of course.
I'm gonna win soon. We just need to get this wave shoved out so we can contest the round.
Tribute. I go. Attack.
I'm going for him.
Look me in the eye.
Find Spirit Breaker.
Oh shit.
As you wish.
I'm gonna hit him. Get in front of him. Do you have left turning?
Oh my fucking god, that was perfect. Oh my god, this Madden. Practice this fucking hero a lot, I bet.
Should have mangoed you.
Of course. As you wish.
Fuck off, man.
To battle. Not yet. I go. Very well.
Alright, what item build should I go this game? Finn, do you want a shrine?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. It's a lot of stacks.
Yes. You die. It is not.
Mid being charged?
As you wish.
Dire's putting up a barricade.
Forward. I am not ready. Not so. Your death approaches. Attack.
Hero's coming bottom. The hero's there, the hero's there.
Okay.
I fight.
We could all omni slash him maybe?
Yeah, I got it. Oh my god, the execution!
Kind of suicide.
Oh god. Oh man, 3 for 1? 3 for 1? 3 for 2? Oh. Hey, JT, game's not going that well today. That's unfortunate. You want drums?
Is hard. On it. I bring my blade.
Okay. What's the cooldown on this bullshit?
Last. So you say? Already moving. Death dealer.
Let's see here. Let's buy this item.
You are mine. Agreed. Swiftly now.
Can TP top in a second.
Stand and face me.
Look, the enemy's attacking your middle tower. Don't let him do that.
Yes.
He has ulti again.
Already moving.
Let's just get the runes for now.
Very well. It is not time. That should help.
He goes bottom, going for it. Oh. I can grab him, I can grab him.
Yeah.
I am not ready. Fancy beating you here.
Nice.
So you say? I bring my blade.
Oh, Tinker's having a bad time. That's great.
As you wish. Juggernaut!
Oh, Jesus.
As you wish.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Not tight. Forward.
Coming bottom.
I'm okay. I have spin still, so.
The enemy's top tower is falling.
What the fuck? That's not mine?
I fight.
Good, Benny.
Yeah, stop charge.
Look me in the eye. Easy money. Yeah. I am not ready. No. A fine idea. Your death approaches.
You fucking serious?
Are you even watching your top tower?
Not yet.
Yeah, you have grip.
Agreed.
Your top tower needs some help.
Nice.
Get over there!
I don't know what to say, man.
Dire structures are fortified.
I think Med's getting charged. Kira's coming from the left.
Under attack.
Your death approaches.
Enemy's middle tower just bit the dust. Your top tower is under attack.
Juggernaut!
Killing spree!
On it.
Double kill!
Oh shit, should I TP? Should I be TPing mid?
Killing spree! Triple kill!
Yeah, you wanna do this? You wanna do this?
Help him.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kinda bad.
Does Vadin have ult?
Already moving.
What the fuck?
Nice.
Your bottom tower is
Oh,
under
the rocket hit me? No.
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying bottom.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Jesus. Actually, I'm good.
As you wish.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
Heyday. Attack.
15-minute runes are almost up.
I go. A fine idea.
Coming to you, Jakiro. Oh shit.
I am not ready. I'll take that as tribute.
Ah!
Double kill.
Yet.
Are you alive? What the fuck? If you
Hey,
come
bud.
get him.
Yeah, I'm right here. Quick career. I'm alive, what the fuck? Yeah, I know, right? I wasn't so sure too.
Run if you can. A fine idea. So you say? Roots of discipline. You die. I bring my blade. As you wish. I fight.
Spearbreaker charging top.
What coward runs?
Radiant structures are fortified.
I can't really kill him because I don't have Omni Slash.
Very well. Juggernaut! I am not ready. Already moving.
How's Slark doing? He's level 11, 1, 2, and 4. Okay. Hello, Tenta. Welcome back. It's going pretty swell. How are you?
Increases.
What the fuck? Why? Okay, man. I'm okay.
It's illusion, it's illusion.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Yeah, I don't really want to play Juggernaut against Spearbreaker, but I don't know. I don't know, man.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Oh, Slark's back top.
Your middle tower has fallen.
What is my next item gonna be?
This is I am dead.
Dire structures are fortified.
We should not go on up. Oh, my bad.
Oh man, their pick off like capabilities is so strong.
Double kill.
Already
Dominate.
I'm gonna get charged. I gotta get out of here.
Better luck next time.
Not yet. Of course.
What's my next item?
At last. Stand and face me. Last.
BKB before you can man up like that.
You know what? I'm just gonna buy Blink Dagger to get on this top of this Tinker, I think. Yeah, let's just do it.
On it.
In fact, we're gonna go hunt Tinker in a sec, I think.
As you wish. Word. Yes. Death dealer. It is not time.
Is Lincoln's bad? It's not bad or good. All items are not bad or good. It's just different. It just changes how you play. Like now that I bought this Blink Dagger, I basically have to go Abyssal. And I have to hunt Tinker. I've already made it my mission to hunt the Tinker. So we are gonna... It's real? He's fucking with me. Okay.
I am not ready. It's an honor. Not yet.
Tinker's here too. Come on, kill the Slark, you fucking shit! Where's Slurk? Where's Slurk?
It is not time.
It's tough out there. Courier's just
Mark TP Anderson.
Okay.
triple kill.
I am not ready.
Okay.
Radiant called in the fortification.
It is not time. Practice comes great. Not yet.
I'm getting charged.
Hey, I'm hitting bottom. I'm hitting bottom. Can you stop Tinker from coming back?
No, he's going back.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh god, oh god. Oh, this tower's so low. We're gonna get Diffusal next.
It's an honor.
Tinker's Spitbreaker's gonna be up in 4.
Mine. Yeah. I am not ready.
So this game, I'm gonna be under-farmed late game, but I'm gonna be powerful in the mid game. See you later, Vinit.
The top tower needs some help. This is one of the things in the bad column.
Oh, Tiny. I was gonna stack that. Okay, maybe I can hunt Tinker. Oh, he has E-Blade.
They're all on. We need to push these lanes out.
So do I go Nullify?
Or we can smoke top or something.
The top tower is under attack.
Of course.
We see the slide here. We just jump him with this shit.
Strength is mine. Look me in the eye.
Your top
Got back.
tower is under attack.
Hey, I want to hit bottom tower real quick and finish it off.
Tower is under attack.
Yeah, we need to pick some.
Hey, threaten mid
before you go.
if you can.
On it.
How can I take this tower like that?
Is not time. As you wish.
Tinker's top.
Monster! You! The top tower needs some help.
I am not ready.
That is
The enemy's middle tower has fallen.
Tinker has E-Blade, okay? Or I mean, Ethereal.
That was a bad dive.
I am not ready.
Really need BKB on Brood.
Fight. Not yet. Run if you can.
Tiny, do you have something?
No, ulti on that guy.
Nice.
Double kill.
Hey, I'm gonna hit bottom tower, I think.
Of course. It is not time. As you wish. I am not ready.
Okay.
Not yet.
Enemy's bottom tower's gone. Nice, right?
Attack.
The Slark is coming from behind.
Okay.
Dire structures are fortified.
He uses BKB already. And his ulti.
Okay.
I'm right behind you. I can grip.
Okay.
To battle.
I can just grip the Shakira.
A fine idea. It is not
Bad idea. Probably killing.
Yeah, bad idea. Hey, Just the Hill, how you doing, bud? See Tiny's been. Oh, Tiny's quite decently farmed. I wonder he's gonna get eggs. I'm not gonna finish Manta. I don't need Manta. Like, why do I buy Manta now? Like, what is something so important that I need to buy Manta for? Like, you could say like, well, you need Manta for laser. Well, I don't really care about laser. Is the thing. I don't really care to dispel almost anything that they have.
attack.
I thought this Broodmother was supposed to be a Smurf, but it's not doing so hot.
It is not time. I bring the blade. Not yet. Forward. Ready? Swiftly.
Back up.
Time. Juggernaut! Not yet. Already. Killing spree!
God, dude, this is so messy. Okay. Messy.
On it.
Does Abaddon have his ult?
Yes.
Slark's 22. See, I have to win the mid game.
Is under attack. Your top tower has fallen.
Very well. Not.
You better push on over to your bottom tower. Your bottom tower just took a dirt nap.
A fine idea.
Your top tower is under attack.
Nah, it's too tanky.
I am not ready.
Top tower needs some help.
No detection? Okay.
It is not time.
Carry that, boys.
30-minute rinse.
Your bottom tower is under attack.
My power increases. What coward runs? Agreed. To battle.
Nullifier stops TPs. Two for one, you know? So we'll go Nullifier and then I don't know what else.
I go.
They're charging Broodmother mid. Motherfucker!
No duck pack, no duck pack.
Okay.
Already moving.
Bro, do not fight up there.
Jeez. Well, no one fucking died that fight. That's amazing.
Your death approaches.
So we sell Wand next, right? What the fuck?
Ooh, your bottom tower.
That camp is warded.
Look me in the eye. I am not ready. So you say? It is not time. As you wish.
Oh my goodness.
I am not ready. That's as tribute.
Come on, Tinker, go top, please.
Bring my blade.
Come on, Tinker.
I need to fight.
As you wish.
They keep going, it's 4v5.
Not yet. Onward.
Yeah, go, come go, Roshan.
As you wish. I fight.
We don't do it fast enough.
I bring my blade.
Hope I'm not being charged. I can TP over there in like 10 seconds.
It's an honor.
Wonder what item Stark will get next.
To battle.
I'm not sure what item I need though. Might be the Manta style.
It is not time. So you say?
Do you want to try for Roshan now?
I am not ready.
Yeah, we can.
On it. A fine idea.
You got Tinker.
Where the fuck is the Tinker? What the hell?
I got the slick. Oh shit, he's gonna get shielded. Almost dead back.
Killing spree.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Jesus.
I'm Roshan right now. The Roshan right now, Tinker, just swap back.
Okay.
The enemy's top shrine has fallen. The wages of fear.
Fine idea. Stand and face me.
Oh, there better be something important going on. Your bottom tower is under attack.
As you wish.
Ooh, your bottom tower's kind of bad.
Look me in the eye.
Visual bug.
What?
What item do I get next? I'm not sure that I actually want to complete this Manta. Hey, bottom is already open. We don't have to siege top.
Is it's gone.
Do I need Basher for Slark? I feel like if I go Basher, then I just don't have enough damage.
Not yet. It's an honor.
Put a Tinker ward.
Hitting bottom throw or shrine.
The enemy's bottom shrine has fallen.
I go.
I don't know, man. Maybe we'll see. We'll just think about the item we're gonna go for. Yeah. So the next item that I do go is gonna be very dependent on what Slark goes.
You die. Already moving.
We don't have any smokes. So he might be waiting for me to buy my item.
Of course. Stand and face me.
Where am I? Oh my god. Oh, I died twice. I thought my spin was up.
Your top tower is under attack.
Oh my god, that Tinker's almost dead. I think you guys should back. Tinker's gonna come back with full mana. Yeah, get out if you can.
Fuck, we didn't get the jug all top.
Top tower.
Two runes.
You gonna do something about it or just sit there looking funny?
I'm still thinking about this next item. It's gonna be dependent on Slark's item. If he goes Butterfly, then I might go Monkey King Bar. And if he goes Abyssal, then I go Butterfly or something like that. Either way, I have really low HP, so I had to get the 600 HP talent. Okay, so I probably go Monkey King Bar.
Oh, so beautiful.
Lost face, but I haven't lost heart. Seems fair. Battle Fury! I fight. Of course. Yes. I am not ready. As you wish.
Oh man.
Already moving. Swiftly now.
I don't need stats if I get 600 HP talent.
A fine idea. Easy money. As you wish. Not yet. Run if you can. Not yet.
Hello, Vicky.
To battle.
What the fuck? Oh, those are illusions.
Practice comes strength. On it.
Coming mid. Oh boy, that's not good.
It is not time. Onward.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna get shielded. I'm dead.
I am not ready. Very well. Agreed. Swiftly now.
I'm not gonna get Abyssal just because you see Slark BKB TP. It's not a good reason.
To battle. Yeah,
Fucking hate going high ground against Tinker, dude.
Oh yeah.
I go.
Fun stuff.
Yes. Of course.
I don't have mana.
Fuck this dude.
Hey, can you mana me? Bane? Mana? God!
Dire's structures are fortified.
This is looking really bad. Blink, 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 blink.
If your mid tower could talk, it'd
Have
be
mana for TP, but I want to fight. Holy shit.
If your mid tower could talk, it'd over here we have the middle tower. Not being there no more.
So close. Dude, buyout. You're sitting on like 5k gold with 3k for buyback.
Your middle tower is under attack. They're trying to knock down your middle tower. Radiant fortified their structures. Pretty good move if you ask me. Got one less middle tower now, by the way.
Almost up.
Middle barracks are under unstoppable. Double kill.
Yo, man. Tiny's dead without buyback? This is not good.
Your middle barracks is full.
Oh, God, what do I do? Brood mother. What's he doing?
The bottom barracks is fallen. The bottom barracks is fallen. Monster kill!
Yeah, we just lost, man.
Your top shrine has fallen.
Yeah, we lost. I don't know what we can do.
At last. Of course.
Your top tower needs some help. Your top tower has fallen.
Uh-oh. What the? How can he hex? He has a vision?
Look me in the eye.
Vision somewhere.
On it. Swiftly now.
Should I go to Vine Rapier? Maybe.
Hello, top tower. Goodbye, top tower.
Oh my god, I can't even stay on the fucking Tinker. How's this Slark still alive? Okay.
Triple kill! They're trying to knock down your middle tower. You and a couple of friends could probably stop that. Dire structures are fortified. Your middle tower has fallen.
Hey, how about Divine? Can we just run down mid, see how many buybacks we can get?
Not yet. Thought.
I need help. What is my team doing? They're in the fountain.
It is not time.
Oh, God.
Your bottom shrine is under attack.
Double damage.
Hey Bane, I need you to come give me some mana.
Your bottom shrine is under attack.
500 mana, boy. 2,000 and you're out of mana. Just skip it. Or it's 15 seconds.
Can we just hit throne? Can we hit throne? Can we hit throne? I fucking did it! I fucking did it! Wow, dude. Woo! Oh man, that was a pretty good game, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Wow. Oh, I feel tired after playing that game. Jesus Christ. None of them have buyback? Wait, one of them had buyback? Jeez. Damn, they had like, look at this right down here. That's like 95% chance to win. Oh boy. That's great. That was a plus 18 game. Oh man. Actually, I'm just gonna commend everyone. Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments before I go? That was the last game today. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time. Around the same time. Wow. That ran at the end better than TI finals. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, Lulu. Yeah, that was great. I wasn't sure about the Divine Rapier. I was just thinking about my last item. I was just like, well, this game, it's gonna go down. It's gonna end in the next 2 minutes anyway, so you might as well go YOLO. Are there any situations where you rebuy Drum's recipe? Yeah, I believe there was one game. I can't remember who it was, but I think it was either OG or Liquid. I think Seb was playing Abaddon, and then they wanted to go for a GG push, and then I think Seb TP'd back to base just to buy drums. Just to try to end the game. I can't remember if it worked out or not, but I don't know, it's super situational. But this game I was running out of item slots because I was trying really hard to push for the early mid game. So I just don't have item slots. Is it worth it? It depends, you know, like every game's different. I can't really say. But anyways, I gotta go, guys. Thank you everyone for watching the stream. Hope you guys had fun. We will be back tomorrow around the same time. So should be back in, I guess 20 hours or something like that. Anyways, see you soon, guys. Have a great day.